So is everybody tired?
Yes.
Yes. Great. I was expecting this. So
That's great, Ellen.
Yes.
So I'm not.
Oh. But anyways, I feel that it's important that your health is my first concern. So as you are tired, I really feel that you should go for rests first. So we will try and do that, but it's a difficult rest. So it's not like a normal rest where you will wake up very soon. So what we will try is that I will give you one breath. It's actually the last breath you will ever take. So you will take it, I will say go, and then you will lose everything what you think about happiness, about frustration in life, and you will start shouting until your breath is gone. And then you will fall down because of course you don't have any breath, so you'll be like, and then we start again. So you will take one breath and you go. Sorry. You're not really dead, but you're actually in a long sleep. You're actually dreaming. And because I have another superpower, I actually know what you are dreaming. Oh, no, you're still dreaming, still with the eyes closed. So, you're dreaming, you're a teacher. Try to envision you being a teacher. You're in the classroom. And try to see what happens. Try to envision what is happening. Did you find somebody? Okay, did everybody find a partner where they speak the same language or they're from the same school system, same country? Are you still looking? Yeah, you can go and read. No, but you speak. Yeah, you want to come with them? Okay. So you will try to explain to the person who's sitting next to you what you were seeing in your dream. So how did the classroom look? Who was there? What happened? Did nothing happen? Was it nice? Was it scary? First you try to explain to the one, and then the other one tells a story. Okay. Who had the same dream? With the person that they were talking to, who had the same dream? Nobody? Everybody had a different dream. So everybody had a different experience of what a classroom is, and also has a different vision of how it looks, what is there, and how you would experience it. And I think that is also what we saw in the last time we were talking about democratic teaching. We have a lot of words to define it, and we feel like it's a bit difficult to explain what it is really about, which is also important if you're working with your colleagues to understand that everybody has a different experience of what teaching is, and that what you envision in a classroom is maybe very different of what a colleague is envisioning. So that's why it is important to really think about what the democratic teaching is, and not only how to use drama by doing it, but also defining what the democratic teaching is about. So it was the first exercise to really start seeing that we are different and that we need a common language to talk about democratic teaching. So what I wanted to introduce is yeah, you can give, is the framework for competences on democratic teaching. It is something that the Council of Europe, they made it. So it's a framework that you can use to think about democratic teaching and see how it links with what you think it is about. So it gives you a framework, and it's actually, it was also introduced in your reflection book. If some of you have seen it, we asked you to look at it and say what kind of competences do you think you have, and what kind of competences do you think you should be able to develop. But actually the framework is made for students. So it's actually a framework for students. So what you want from your students, you want them to have these values, this knowledge, the competences. So this is what you actually should be thinking about when you're dealing with democratic teaching. So it would be too much to go in a half an hour reflection session I will not read them all out loud because you're in small pairs. I would like you to think about something that you maybe can connect with your dream, something that was similar, or that you could find like maybe it was different, that is on the list, and that you would like to explore with your body. So you will think about this, you will take one word, one competence, and you will try to think about how you would make this work in your classroom, so how you would do this. And I will give you a paper where you can write the example down, so you really have to explain after the exercise to the others how you would use this competence or this knowledge and how you would make it practical in a classroom.
So we're just talking, just one point we're talking about, for example, knowledge and critical understanding of language and communication, and we're talking about how important it is because how ideology is so strongly ingrained in language, and how you can start thinking critically about the language you use and the language others use. And with just one point, we're talking about today's Bobby's workshop in the morning about how slowing down time, slowing things down can really help in taking things apart, in critical thinking about language as well and actions as well.
Yeah. Sorry, we were talking about valuing cultural diversity and how the workshop with Gilberto will help in this kind of classroom. So for example, in Greece, in Athens, in the center of Athens, because we have many refugees and immigrants, so in one school a lot of languages are spoken, but one language is being taught. So to make everyone to feel included, when you approach poetry first from a physical point of view, everyone feels they have an equal chance to express themselves. So they all feel valued and appreciated instead of the person who can speak Greek better.
We chose the skills of listening and observing, and we were a bit inspired about the way all the facilitators here give feedback. It's always in kind of a positive way. Someone says something and I say it's interesting and things like that. So we were thinking about when students stand before the classroom, for example, give a presentation, that there could be peer evaluation, but that the feedback from the other students they give has to be something positive. So they have to choose something positive in the presentation.
I was thinking of a particular class after just thinking about my classroom, and I identified that I think there needs to be more of a value of cultural diversity, because I have some students in there who will make just comments and they see them as jokes, and I've told them, that's not acceptable and etc. But I thought I tried to think about a way that I could really address that and bring in more of an idea of cultural diversity. So we discussed a lesson where I continued with this class next year, they're on work experience, they come back from work experience, and I always do a lesson about what work experience is valuable, etc. But then we thought, actually, what if one of those, we have a student who experienced racism or a joke in passing on work experience outside of the school, so it's out in another space, and potentially committed suicide or something as a result. And I was thinking of the Brian scenario to show that, and then going to maybe holding a court and a jury having to decide or different roles where they have to decide kind of the ethics of it, and actually, was it just a joke, or what's the consequences of that joke, and begin to really think about kind of the way that they use language, and how they perceive and maybe empathise with people on the receiving end of those jokes. So I just wanted to think about that one class.
When I closed my eyes, I was dreaming all the years until now as a teacher, and many pictures come in front of my mind from different schools, from different classes, and I felt that if I didn't do what I do now, that I'm coming to courses to learn more things, to give me the flexibility and the opportunity to change the way I'm teaching and learning in the classroom, I think I will be bored in the class. I will do the same thing without learning nothing.
Yeah.
Every day, the routine.
Okay. Thank you. So I think what we see, if we take the competences, we have had some different examples. Sorry, I was thinking about words. Some were directed to the students, others were more personal as a teacher, what happens. Some were more about the policy or what would you change in your school system. And so the idea is really that you would go home and take the framework and really think about what it means, not only for you, but also for other people in your school.